podcast series. We covered all 5. You'll love it. No, I think just maybe Texas, but that's the stabs are much more closely resembling to, like, they resemble real life much more so than Texas Chainsaw did.
Yeah, like the closest I got to it was Conjuring.
Oh yeah, the Warrens. Good.
Yeah, I've only seen the first 2 though, so I can't say like did they all relate. I have no idea, but the Warrens were real people. One of them might still be alive. I'm not sure.
So all right. So this is what you could do. Skip The Nun, background watch La Lorna, because there's some fun side characters in that. Skip the first Annabelle, watch Annabelle Origins, because that one's actually good. And then Annabelle Comes Home is a lot of fun with really likable kids. And I don't know if you saw it, but I wrote that article about 2019 as the highest tomato meter score of any year of the last 40 years. And
whoa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just wrote that article. So 2019, it's the only fresh year. So I only went back to 1980 because that's as far as reliable. So I've compiled a list of all the wide release horror movies that have been released in at least 600 theaters. And I brought together their tomato meter scores. So the 80s is the best rated decade. But for individual years of the last 40 years, 2019 has the highest tomato meter score. So I'm not saying personal opinion. I'm just saying stats based on the critical scores on Rotten Tomatoes. But I think the reason why everyone's like, there's been better movies in 2018, but in 2019, movies like Child's Play, Pet Sematary, Annabelle Comes Home, 3 from Hell, they're all in the Ma, Brightburn. So all these movies that Dead Don't Die, they're all in the 50 to 65% range. And so normally in most horror years, so Countdown's the lowest rated movie that came out this year at that 25%. It has the best lowest score of the last 40 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, on average, the movies are better.
Yeah, and so the Rotten movies of 2019 have a 50% average. That's the highest by far of all the Rotten averages of the Rotten movies in each year. So movies like Annabelle, this is my long-winded way of saying that Annabelle Comes Home and those movies are partly responsible for why 2019 has the highest tomato meter score. You should read that article.
I will. I'll definitely. It's on Rotten Tomatoes. Tomatoes.
I'll send it over to you after this. But no, it's cool, man. It's like on their front page. It's doing well. No one's really hating on it so far. I mean, a lot of people just don't read it and they comment on it. But no, it's fun. But yeah, so I know we digress from the 2011 Scream 4, but yeah, watch Annabelle Comes Home. There's a werewolf.
I have a pitch for you.
Uh-oh.
For a future Scream. I don't know. If one of the main cast had to be the killer in the next movie, who do you think it would be? Out of Gale, Sidney, or Dewey?
All right, so let's look at motivation, right? Let's go back. Let's go back to Scream. So we have Dewey, always sort of picked on, right? He actually was respected in Scream 4. I do like the deputy in that, played by Marley Shelton. I liked her a lot. I liked her lemon squares. Yeah, Hicks from Aliens.
Yep.
Protect your chest. Save your. Wait, what'd you say? Wear the vest. Save your chest.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So he has finally had some semblance of, but he's gotten a lot of brain damage, right? So he's had a lot of brain damage. Gale, she seems behind the times and sort of bitter about that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Sidney. Sidney's killed a lot of people.
Yeah, she's a boss murderer.
So I think it would Sidney?
Yeah.
She's always the target, right?
Yeah.
And she's killed enough people. Has Dewey killed anybody?
Doesn't he shoot someone?
Yeah, he's probably shot somebody. I know Gale has killed someone. But Neve Campbell just turns around and wipes out Emma Roberts. She shoots the moms in Scream 2. So she'll wipe people out in cold blood. Not in cold blood, their killers trying to kill her, obviously. But she's not I'm going her. I think it would be Neve.
Okay, I think that's the right choice. So here's what I wrote down for my motivations for those 3. A big if here, if they were the killers. So for Gale, decades after being prominent, she decides to manufacture her own murders to investigate.
Oh.
Yeah. For Sidney, I wrote, she finally snaps and starts killing the kids who make light of her life.
Yeah.
And then for Dewey, I said, Tired of being the butt of everyone's joke, Dewey sets up murders that only he can solve.
I think Dewey's too fumbling. I love each plot. I don't think he's smart enough to pull that off.
Yeah, it would be Dewey and Gale combined, I guess.
Yeah, they go crazy. Or maybe he covers up for something they do. I just think, and also everyone's calling her the angel of death, Nev Campbell. And people have tried to murder her, and then people are like, well, I have my own scars. Like, they're jealous of her. They try to use her for book deals. No one's really nice to her. They don't understand. That could lead to maybe alienation. And then that could lead to, let's do Nev. Let's stick with, Sid.
Yeah, I think she might be the main character, but that would be a great turn for a future movie because it calls back to the Friday the 13th movies where they never actually flip Tommy Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it would fit right in with the callbacks, and you have to understand horror history to sometimes watch these films.
It would be tough for Sydney to be the killer, though, because I was getting annoyed with people insulting her in this movie. So I wouldn't want anyone to kill her. And I just root for her in Scream 5. That'd be dangerous.
Well, you could always set it up where she is the hero and protagonist of the film, and she's hunting down ghost faces.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's just like 7 ghost faces, and she's like, I'm gonna murder you all.
She becomes Dexter. I like that. Hey, well, how about this? Let's take a quick break, and we come back. We'll talk more about the actual plot of Scream 4. How's that sound?
All right.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And before we get talking about Scream 4, I want to rank the Stab movies.
Okay. Oh, wow.
All right, so there's Stab 2, Stab 3, Return to Woodsboro, Stab 3, Hollywood Horror, Stab 6, Ghostface Returns, and Stab 7. But wait, there's Stab 2, Stab 3. Oh, Stab 4 is Hollywood Horror, and then there's Stab 5, Stab 6, and Stab 7. So how would you rank these Stab movies? We know 5 has time travel.
So we're gonna rank that at the very bottom. Yeah, I don't care for time travel.
All right, so 5 is last, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Stab 1 was directed by Robert Rodriguez, so that's got to be the best, right?
There's no doubt. It's directed by Robert Rodriguez, starring Heather Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get better than that.
Oh, here, Stab 4, Knife of Doom, Stab 5, Clock of Doom, Time Travel, Stab 6, Ghostface, and then Stab 7. Now, I like Stab 7 because it's like the Final Destination 5 of the franchise.
Okay, how so?
Well, Stab 6 was terrible, right? I'd put it just above 5 in quality. So the 7 just seems so much better, if that makes sense. Okay. It was just good. Yeah. It was bloodier. You had, Kristen Bell and Anna Paquin in the beginning. That was great. We knew who the killer was in the beginning. But then that's crazy that the killer was killed because that killer didn't know that she was also killing people. Really, really interesting plot.
Okay.
Right? Stab. Now, I love Parker Posey. I love her role in it as Gale. And I thought she did her best work in 3. So I would go 1, 3, 2, 4, 7, 6, 5. What do you think?
I think that you put a lot of thought into this, and I'm going to roll with it. Because I can't even keep track of all of those. I didn't even know one of them was called Clock of Doom.
I'm reading the wiki right here. So, as a whole, now Kevin Williamson wanted to bring Scream back home for Scream 3. Because Scream, then you had Scream Goes to College, and then you had Scream Goes to Hollywood. He wanted 3 to go back home, so he pitched this idea for 4 to go back home. Do you like the return to Woodsboro? Did you kind of like... Now, I like how David Arquette as a character has moved forward, but what has Gale been... Like, she wrote her books, right? And now she's stuck writing fiction?
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me that she wrote a bunch of books, made a bunch of money, and now she's trying to reinvent herself and trying to figure out what's next for her. And when she was doing that, she's like, well, I guess I'm going to write fiction. It turns out that's not what she's good at. She's good at solving murders, and she should stick with solving murders.
True. She should become a detective.
Or true crime. Yeah.
Ooh,
that's like her.
Oh, if this was made now, she would make the best true crime podcast.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Wow. I want a Gail Weathers true crime podcast.
We could start one. We can do one podcast in the vein of Gail Weathers, and I guess that's a pun.
Oh my gosh! So all right, so in the vein, hey. So then Sydney comes back home to sign books for her book. Sign her books, and they kill some kids and put murder weapons in her trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And they do this because they want her to suffer.
Yeah, I think so. I think they did it as both a test run and as a way to get the media hyped up to sort of like prep everyone and put her on edge. And what I also think is that girl might be the girl that Emma Roberts' character's boyfriend slept with.
Which one?
The one that's killed and put in the first one that's killed in the actual movie.
Oh, Amy Teagarden? Wait, do they ever say that?
They don't. I infer it.
That's because she targeted her.
Yeah.
She seems like she's got her head on straight though, Jenny. Do you think Jenny would have hung out with Trevor?
Who knows? Because they never state it, but it's either there's like two things going on there. It's either she's the woman who cheated on that her boyfriend cheated on Julie's character with, or it's someone Charlie was obsessed with and never gave him the time of day.
Oh, I think I like. Wait, why? Well, Amy Teagarden's from Friday Night Lights, so I don't like her. I don't think she would like Trevor. So I like your theory about Culkin killing her because she never gave him the time of day. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer. I mean, we could also have a combo of two. It's like this Emma Roberts character is feeling slighted and Charlie's character is feeling slighted, so they team up together to make it work.
They both find out.
Yeah.
Maybe he liked her. Oh wow, because she must have been recruiting him for a long time.
Oh yeah, they don't go into that at all. Like, because it's like those two don't really overlap. I don't know how she would talk him into it.
Now, wouldn't Charlie realize that sidekick characters always die?
Yes, but he thought he was Randy from the first movie, and he turned out to be Stu.
You're right.
But the thing about being Randy is that Randy dies anyway. If you want to be anyone, you want to be Gale or Dewey.
Yeah, or Joel.
Joel.
The cameraman. He just leaves.
Later.
Yeah. That's interesting. So so she somehow recruited him. She obviously didn't go to the movie club, right?
Obviously, yeah.
And then now Kirby seemed to like Charlie. Like she had an interest in him. So maybe that's how she got into his ear. Hey, I'll hook you up with Kirby. Do you help me with my homework? And then she slowly manipulated him.
Maybe. I mean, that sounds like a good way to do it. I mean, Charlie is just an enigma, right? Like, and I think it's built like that on design because you don't know his motivations. Because he is Stu, he doesn't really have a motivation other than he enjoys it. And that's supposed to be scary, but it also makes it very difficult to talk about.
Now, okay, so then they got that going. Why? Oh, then they have the rear window thing to set up.
Mm-hmm.
So then they see her getting killed because why does Emma Roberts go crazy? Because she has a pretty decent life. And she would have had this murder subplot planned before her boyfriend cheated on her.
Oh, not necessarily. Because it sounds like it's a combination of multiple different things. Is that she wants to be famous.
Yeah.
And the only way that you can be famous, she thinks, is that by having something bad happen to her. She doesn't have to have a skill. And so she manufactures a reason for something bad to happen to her.
Yeah. But her mom's pretty squirrely. Do you think she gets that from her mom?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because it's sort of implied that the mother was jealous of her sister.
Yeah, right. She
Yeah.
said that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good read. I didn't